That's great.
Other than theme parks, what are some of your hobbies outside of that?
Well. I like making things. That's what I do. I make a lot of stuff.
Like
I used to do
birdhouses or what?
woodworking. I used to do woodworking, and then when my wife was pregnant with my daughter, I play the ukulele, I play the accordion, I play the piano.
Really?
But then I started doing. I got one right here. I got my own little. I don't know if you can see it.
I do.
My little snide label. So I started making. I sew bags, and these little wallets, these little card holders,
Oh, nice.
and because it's like woodworking, but fabric and not loud, and it won't chop my fingers off. And I lost my room that I used to do. I lost the garage. I had to turn it into my office when my daughter was born. Sorry. When my daughter was born, because that was now her room. So I sort of had to stop doing my woodwork. It was a little more difficult. But then I switched it up. I'll show you. Like I made. So now what I'm doing, and I'm always switching. My friends are always joking with me, like, so when are you going to start raising ferrets? Or so it's always some new thing. You know what I mean? Like I made these. So these days I've been making rugs. So like I made these rugs. Like there's one. There's another. And these are like 3 feet long. Like they're big. But I've been making all kinds of. They're very fun.
So you've got one of those
Like
gigantic guns that like is
Yep.
stabbing through.
Here's like one I made of my character from from Ghost and Molly McGee, because I gave these for Christmas to the Molly McGee guys. I gave them each a rug of my character. I thought they'd like it. We'll see. I don't know if they'll like it or not, but
will fans be?
But I like doing all kind of stuff.
Will fans be able to buy a Master Shake rug made by Master Shake himself soon?
I have made a Master Shake. Well, I have in the works to make a Master Shake rug. The problem with these rugs are, I've made quite a few, but they're all like for gifts because I don't know what I would ever charge for one. You know what I mean? Like, they take a lot of time. Well, for example, my friend gave me $200 for a Frankenstein rug. But that is because that was literally just the cost of the material. Now, I'm not going to charge him for my labor because I want to do it for him. But he was like, "Oh, would you make me one of those Frankenstein?" I said, "Yeah." But you got two choices. I can make it out of the cheap yarn, or I can make it out of the wool yarn. Now he's like he's like, "Oh, I want the good one out of the wool yarn." So okay, all right. But yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody charges several hundreds of dollars for those things. There's a lot of people who tuft on TikTok and all that shit. And I follow them all. That's why I got into it. I was like, ooh, that looks pretty good. And I like the idea that I can make anything, but it looks like a real regular product, but it could be something ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously Frankenstein, those were not super ridiculous, but you're not going on the store and just buying a Frankenstein rug.
For sure.
Probably. But I will make some.
Maybe you could just sell them on eBay and just do a bottom price of bid on it, but just be like, I just factored the materials in. So the bottom line is, like you said, $200, and if anything else comes in, it comes in. And you could do it periodically that way and not have to build like an inventory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like my friend, I did all those wallets and stuff. I was selling them all the time. I made like Dungeon Master dice bags to keep all your 20-sided die in. I made wallets and I made bags and all this stuff and Velcro wallets. But then like after a certain point, it was like, this is a job.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, it's now the volume is such that it's hard for me to keep up. And so people are waiting longer than they should for a card wallet.
Gotcha.
So I stopped doing those because I was like, But I think with these rugs, what I might do is, I might like make a couple and then just put them up on Instagram. Like that's everybody I know who does. Like they'll just put a picture on Instagram and say like, "It's $300.
There you go.
DM me if you want, or if you have an idea for a commission, send it to me and I'll make it."
Simple and easy. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah, and you don't have to like the constant whatever of having to keep up with. And I don't like taking people's, like I was going to try and bring one to this show, but then I couldn't get it done in time. We had too many other things going on that I wasn't able to finish it in time. But I think maybe for the next show we're going to, which is in Raleigh in July, I think I'm going to have a couple Master Shake rugs.
Nice. Well,
see what happens.
Hopefully this will be out before then, and if anyone's, searching up online, they'll be able to know, or I'll clip this part out for them. The name of this show is the Tell Me Something Great podcast. It has to do with a new song that I'm writing, but also just a lot more. It's more of kind of like a mentality war cry, if you will. So, Dana, tell me something great.
I'm flying back home tomorrow.
Happy to see the dog and the family and everything?
Yes, the dog has now officially attached itself to my daughter. They sleep in the same bed with each other, which was my little daughter's dream, that she could have a dog she could sleep with, because the other two dogs never wanted to sleep with her because she was like such a little baby when we had them. She would sort of abuse them without trying to. But I want to give him a hug, but really she's just like choking him out and stuff. This dog's a little hardier. Yeah, I was fascinated because we just got his DNA test back because we didn't really know what he was. And apparently the litter had two different fathers. So like 4 of the dogs look one way and the other 6 dogs look like something drastically different. Then they talked to the vet, like, yeah, I think that can happen. Like it's one bank and 2 people made 2 different deposits.
Whoa.
And the same deposit box. I'm like, whoa, all right.
Interesting.
Because if they are because it's very clear that there's 2 different things going on. Like the ones, like our dog looked sort of more like a pit bull, and then the other ones look like chihuahuas.
Wow.
They're very drastically different.
Wow. Yeah,
yes.
That's a big difference. Have you landed an Audi commercial yet?
No Audi commercial for me, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd be driving around in an Audi, I think.
Do you go out for those commercials still?
I don't really ever go out for commercials. Rare occasion I do, but I pretty much only do animation.
Carl's Jr. didn't ask you to do a commercial with the new Adult Swim figures and stuff?
Fools. Idiots. Uh-oh. Sorry, hold on a minute. Hello? Yes. Okay, bye. All right. Here I am. T.T. Doot, doot, doot. Okay. Hey. Sorry.
Dude, you are all good. No apologies needed. Trust me.
I don't have the balance.
I'm the king of multitasking over here, so
okay. They say it never works.
Multitasking?
Yes. It's actually doing none of them efficiently instead of hyper focusing on one and getting it done in the next. I used to have an argument with my friend Ken Plume all the time because he was like, I'm multitasking. Like, no, you're fucking watching TV while you're supposed to be doing something else. He didn't have any work he ever needed to do. So that was the first thing. But then the second part of it was, yeah.
Well, the fact that I'm a small fish and can still somehow exist in this world is proof that something's happening. But I agree with you. I had a college professor in a music-based class tell me, if anyone ever tells you that they're like listening to music while they're doing the dishes, they're lying to you. And that's when I understood it, because I listen to music. I don't passively listen to music. So I completely understand what you mean.
Yeah, I have a lot of passive listening. Like I think it's my ADHD or something that I like always My wife can't stand it. Like, I want the TV or the radio on all the time. Like, I like it playing, even if I'm watching something on my iPad and there's something on in the background. Like, it doesn't bother me. I don't know why. It drives her crazy.
I have hyperactive ADHD, and I do the same exact thing.
Play multiple things, or
Yeah, it's like something has to
yeah,
be stimulating just to distract my ever-going brain, and
sure,
that'll actually help me hyper focus on whatever it is that I'm actually paying attention to. As weird
yeah,
as that is.
yeah. No, I get it. I do the same thing. Absolutely the same.
You know, just per some of your answers, you actually touched down on quite a few of some of the normal questions that I ask people on the show. Some of those would be, you know, tell me something great and why do you do this? But one question that I've been asking everyone, because I think it's such a oddly specific question, and everyone's got their own flavor that they bring to the table. But what does success mean to Dana?
Mm. Mm. Well, I guess success to me means you don't have to worry about what's happening next. I mean, you always will no matter what, but like, you're not as worried as I wouldn't be as worried as I was at some point of like, God, I hope I get another job. Like, if you get to the point where you don't have to worry about that,
Yeah, when you don't have to
that would be
worry
nice.
where your next meal's coming in, things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, literally, will I work again?
Yeah.
This show's ending. Oh God, I hope I get on another show. But I mean, you always feel that a little bit, but I think like it's nice to, that would be nice. And now you don't have to worry about money, you know, all that stuff.
For
Like,
sure.
I mean, I think in many definitions, I could say I've already been 100% success. I've done things I've always wanted to do, but then you reach new levels of definitions of success.
Mm.
Like, I'm sure if I reach that level that I just said, then it'd be like, yeah, okay, but I want to be in the, you know, 8 Pixar movies or something. Then you keep pushing the bar, which is good. That's how we grow. But you know, it would be I would be content just being able to go and do whatever I want to do when I want to do it, and not worry about I got to save for 4 years to go on a trip for 3 days. You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I would love. I'd love to go to a Comic-Con and make some of these people. It's unbelievable. They make like $50,000 in 3 days. I don't get it. These kids are spending their money on that stuff. Or get it. That's. I guess there's a lot of different sides to success. But I mean, I feel like I'm already successful. I just want to retain being busy. I want to be busy and working until I don't want to, until I don't have to. Not I don't have to. I would always do it, but until I don't want to anymore.
For sure.
Put it that way, I guess.
Is it true that your starting salary for Aqua Teen Hunger Force was $250 an episode?
I think that's right. Yeah, I think it was $250 is what we paid. We got paid to do that pilot. I was in Las Vegas doing a burlesque show at the time. And so they flew out to Las Vegas to record me because they said they had to be there with me. And then it was at some, you know, shitty recording studio somewhere that was like in a house. And we weren't even in the same room. They couldn't even see me anyway. So it's like, and I remember they got in big trouble, I think, with Lazo because he was like, so you guys flew yourself out to Las Vegas, stayed in a hotel, all to record this guy, and then you didn't even see him when you were doing it. And they were like, yeah, that's pretty much how it happened. Yeah, I remember they got in some pretty almost serious trouble for doing that. But luckily it worked out.
Were you a part of SAG at that time or anything of the sort? Any kind of
When I moved to LA from New York, well, I was in Equity. That's the Theatrical Performers Union. And I was in AGVA. That's the American Guild of Variety Artists. It's like magicians and jugglers and Cirque du Soleil people and stuff. But I don't. I joined SAG when I moved to LA because I had to. It was like if I want to do real cartoons,
Mm-hmm.
you can't not be. You can't even have an agent if you were not in the union because they're licensed to only handle people in the union. And I remember having a very long talk with Keith Crawford, who was the chief financial guy, number 2 at Adult Swim, and saying, "I'm in LA now. I have to join SAG and I have to join AFTRA. And I'm telling you now because it may be that I have to stop doing Aqua Teen and Squidbillies." And they had people that worked for the union at Adult Swim. So he said, "Let me talk to them." He's a great guy. So we were like having this big talk about it. And I wasn't trying to be whatever. I was just like, this is it. Like, I have to do this. I'm here to do this. And I can't be non-union and do it. I mean, I'm getting offers to do, and I have to join. So then I got some kind of contract through Adult Swim that was like, this is good for 150 episodes or 10 years of Aqua Teen Hunger Force, whichever comes first. And there was the kind of thing like every 10 episodes or something, it would go up in price, in salary. So I'd basically get an automatic raise year after year after year. But in the normal world, if someone had been in a show that went that long, I mean, we got paid $250 the first time, but I don't know what it was after that. It was more than that, but not much probably the first year, but then after that, they sort of made it a little more. And then by the time I went to, then it was built in that it like started at union minimum and went up from there. But in reality, if I had been, let's just say if that show had been union from the beginning and we had done 12 seasons or whatever it is, we would have been paid a lot more by the end of it all than anyone ever got paid. And I never know what Frylock got paid, but I feel like they always paid him the least. Well,
Carey?
Dave probably didn't even really get paid because he was paid for being the director and the producer and whatever else.
Yeah.
But like Carey, yeah, I mean, I'm curious I'm curious. I mean, we don't talk to each other about that. I never have a problem talking to it about it. But I think, because I told Carey, I was like, we should wait. If they want to do this movie, we should find out what they want to pay us and kind of try and come in together where we have a little solidarity and stuff. And he's like, nope, already did it. I was like, But then he told me what he got paid for the first movie, and I know what I got paid for the first movie, and there was some distance there. But that was like this time too, because I said, I'm not going to do it. They said, oh, but you have to do it. I said, I don't have to do it. If you're not going to, I said, normally in a movie, with a real movie, with a theatrical release, like you would get paid double what you got the first time. Like that, I was like, we're not even asking for double. We're asking for a little bit more than we got paid the first time. And what we got paid the first time was like, whatever it was, 15 years ago or something crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. The price of living and everything.
But they
else
always try and do it. Yeah, they always try and do it like that. So I hope Carey got, the important thing is Carey got what he wanted, and I sort of did. But they always used to do that. Be like, well, your contract says you have to do this. I said, yeah, but it doesn't say I have to do it. And I'm not trying to be a dickhead. It's just they come in with this real lowball stuff and think like you have this great onus and affection for the character, so you're gonna, but like they're not taking, like when the first time we went in to go to the DVD commentary, they're like, oh well, we thought you'd do it for free because, like, why? Because you're doing it for free? Are you producing this DVD for free because you love Aqua Teen so much? Or just me, you want me to come in and do it for free because you're not, it's like that kind of stuff. So it's like some side guy somewhere. Anyway, I don't know why I got in a rant about it, but
no, but that's good to hear, and it's unfortunate to hear about Carey's situation, on top of some other things that fans have heard him go through the years. But that's yeah, that's not surprising at all. And you bring up a good point. Like, if you're all taking the hit for a labor of love is one thing, but trying to squeeze pennies in one department while you don't, I don't know. There's no team there. It's definitely, I don't know.
Yeah,
It
well, the
just
thing is, they're asking you to do things that are cheap on a labor of love, etc. But it's not a labor of love for them. They're still selling millions of dollars,
mhm.
getting millions of dollars from the Olive Garden and Ford trucks and everything else. Like now, at least the movie is union. They did the movie union, and the last season of Squidbillies was union. Uh, so that was good because then they have to follow certain rules, and the pay has to be certain things, and also they have the residuals and all that stuff. So I don't know if I don't know if Carey joined the union
Mhm.
or if he just did. There's a thing called like a Taft Hartley, where it's like you can be in a union production, but you don't have to
Be in the
actually
union.
join.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't get all the benefits as far as things like health insurance and pension and stuff, but you can work and you would, in fact, I think, get residuals.
There's some silver lining
Yeah,
there
and
too.
like
Yeah.
the thing is, Carey leaves in Atlanta. Like he probably shouldn't be union there because it's not a union. There's more work non-union there than there is union.
Hmm.
So being non-union, you could work both. But if he joined union, he would cut out probably three-quarters of the jobs he would gets offered there.
A lot of these hubs are now moving around, and Atlanta's being a pretty big one. So I am curious
Yeah.
if he was unionized out there, what he could find. It'd be interesting. This may be a question for Dave, but a fan asked,
Then I'll answer it.
do you know if they ever finished the Aqua Teen Hunger Force Boston episode?
Um,
Will it ever see the light of day?
it will never see the light of day. It was on YouTube for a while.
Ooh.
Someone put it on YouTube. Don't know who. It had to be someone at Adult Swim.
Mhm.
Nobody else had it. But I don't think anybody ever found out who put it up there. And it was put up, and then somebody, a couple people ripped it because they knew what they were looking at. I've seen it. I feel like Dave, I feel like we did something once or twice that he showed it, like at a live, like at Sketchfest or something in San Francisco. I feel like it was one of the things they brought and showed. So I think it is, in fact, I think, kind of done. But they'll never, I mean, who knows? Never say never, right? But I don't think there are any plans to have it out anywhere.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It'll be back in the thing now with the Shake Like Me episode and, the Boston episode. I remember it was funny. But what's amazing is you knew they were never going to put it out. At which point, then the question is, why did you fucking let them make it then? I mean, that wasn't made for free. So, like, you let them make a whole episode right after the Boston thing happened. You're going to do a whole thing for that, and then you tell them they're not going to make it, they're not going to air it. Like, that's fine, but why would you let them do it in the first place? Seems like crazy.
Yeah, it does seem odd. I mean, maybe there was a window of time where they were like, "Oh, well, this thing might blow up, or it's not as big as it
Never,
became."
never,
No.
never, no, no. I mean, the second it happened, they went through. They were like, cease and desist. No one talk about it. You are not allowed to talk about it if anybody
Okay.
calls you.
Yeah.
Right from the start. And then when Adult Swim had to pay like whatever it was, $3 million or something to the city of Boston, then they were really like, no, not at all.
Yeah, makes sense.
But like they started making it a little bit. I think it was one of those things they just started making and no one was really paying attention to what they were doing until it was like almost too late. And then they were like, the hell are you thinking? No, you can't make this. Get out of here. Go make something else.
I can only imagine that every single day was a new adventure at work. But could you run us through I mean, as much as you can remember, what a normal day looked like when you were working with the other voice actors? Now, I know sometimes you do lines line by line, but there had to be times where you were all in the same room doing
I mean, for
dialogue.
Aqua Teen, very rarely, like maybe 2 times ever. I don't think we've ever all recorded together. We did. Even then, we didn't do. I was going to say, I think we've done like. I said, I think we've done several times of like doing a commentary, but even then, we're not. I don't think we've ever been like Dave and Carey and I, other than on a very rare appearance at a convention. Because usually it's either like Dave and I will go somewhere, or I'll be at something with Carey, but it's very rare that the three of us, like especially with press stuff, they don't really. Carey doesn't go out a lot, like when they do that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and Matt, the thing with Matt is he doesn't like to go, so usually he'll say, "Don't bring me, just have Dana go instead." Like I'll go in his stead. Like that's I got to go to Australia. They wanted Matt and Dave to go, and then Matt was like, "Yeah, I don't want to go. He hates people. He doesn't want to be around." So they're like, "Take Dana." So I luck out because Matt is like doesn't like to leave his house. So I've been around the world thanks to Matt Malero.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, I mean, I really don't think. I mean, maybe when we did the first movie, we had a couple scenes that we recorded together. But again, I don't think it was with Dave because I think he was in the thing, like directing us.
So
But
a normal day there would just be going into the booth, reading your lines.
a
Pretty
normal
pretty simple.
record, yeah, a normal record is me going in by myself, me and an engineer wherever I am, and then them in Atlanta. So I hear them over the headphones, and we just go line by line. Line one, we'll say that 10 times. Okay, good, we got one. Let's say the next line. Do that 10 times until we get all the way through the script, and then that's it. It's very solitary.
There you go.
Squidbillies is the same. I mean, and now like everything's like that except for Molly McGee because Ashley Birch and I record together, but that's because we do a lot of improv with each other. Even though Aqua Teen, we do a lot of improv because Dave's directing it. I think he's able to manage it better.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they typically will maybe record me first, and then whoever's improvising the most, and then. But that's it. Very solitary. Go in. I'm out in 90 minutes. End of episode.
There you go. Well, I know there's differences between doing it in a solidarity type of way and then doing it where you're collaborating and working with another person. They each have their own benefits to it, but how has it been? Is it I guess the better way to ask would be: is it a nice change of pace to be working in the booth with someone else, being able to ad lib in real time? Is that a nice change of pace
Oh,
from just
sure.
going in?
No, it's great. No, it's certainly better to record with everybody because you get your game is up a little bit more. You're performing more because you got the other people there. You get to hear their lines said to you in real time. It's always better, but then it's also more chance to screw everything up because you got 5 people you're recording instead of just one. Like if I flub my line and stop and go, I mean, it's not. I mean, everybody knows how to do it, but it is like a little bit of. It's more fun to hear it. I mean, I think I was saying I didn't, but I recorded last week an episode of the Patrick Star Show, but it was an episode that the character I play of Patrick Starr's grandfather, like almost every line was with Patrick Starr. So I got to record, which we don't normally do. Everybody does separate, or at least I always do separate, but I got to record with Bill Fagerbach, who plays Patrick. So we got this, the whole time I was like doing the lines with him, and it was so great. To hear not just someone pretending to do Patrick's lines, but hearing actual Patrick do them. And, you play off each other and you see if you're making each other laugh, is it working, whatever, That's great.
You mentioned that the production that's going on, a lot of these people are so heavily focused on being able to get the deadlines done and keep moving. And it's understandable why so many different I don't know, production houses or networks, whatever you want to call them, would follow that same suit because it makes for the quickest turnaround. And I've spoken to enough voice actors that it seems to be, rule of thumb or the industry standard to do it that way. But it also seems like even though it would take more time to have to deal with extra editing or flubbing or, laughing, somebody responding to a line or something, it just seems like that is the way to do it, yet it's not implemented. It just seems like the actors just get
They
into
do it a
it
lot.
more.
They do it a lot. They do it a lot. And the thing of it is, the shows that have more money are able to do it more. Because the other thing you have to take into account is everybody's schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is in 20 different shows. So to find a time for everybody, and also it's sometimes, you have somebody who's like a bigger whatever star or whatever you want to call it. You're going to have them in for a 4-hour session and they really only have 3 lines. They're not going to be happy about sitting there for 4 hours.
Understandable.
They want to come in, say their lines, and leave. And I get it. You can still have everybody else there or whatever, but that's like the other portion of it. It's like, it takes less time because you can probably get a whole episode done in one 4-hour segment.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you got to plan on, all right, I need this guy to come in for 30 minutes. And so this guy will be here for 20 minutes because they only have one line. And this guy we need for an hour and a half. But then if anyone goes late, then everyone's late.
Yeah.
But everybody, yeah, I mean, I've done certain shows like Gray Delisle. She could never come to our table reads for Paradise PD because she works nonstop. So she can't come to the table read because she has another record that day. So we never get to do it with her. But she's always there for the records. But that's because that's the time she has to. She can't come to the other one.
You have publicly mentioned a few things that are similar between you and Master Shake. If you can remember, what is the biggest thing you brought to the table in regards to the character arc of Shake? And are you responsible for his love for Boost Mobile?
No to Boost Mobile. I guess I didn't know he had a character arc. So
that may be giving him a little bit
to
more.
Me, actually,
that's giving him a little bit more credit than he's due. But were there? I guess it's just better to say, was there anything that you brought to the table that became part of what Master Shake is?
Well, I think the one thing that I did implement in it that Dave and Matt have both said was not in existence before I was a part of it is that element of Shake that Shake has of they had no like what they are to rock and roll, like my love of old like showbiz comedians and all that kind of showbizy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They've always said like, oh yeah, that's good. That's all stuff like you brought in. Like, like sort of that. I one thing I just kind of remember them writing about it was I think it was the Hypnogerm episode with that mind control if you want to take care of your back, where he's going crazy, but like all that sort of like old school Vegas comedian shit and showbizy, that kind of showbizy stuff. I think they've always said a lot is that was sort of an element because it's stuff that I'm super into. I love like old Vegas acts and stuff like that. So I think that's certainly an element I brought in. That's not there all the time, but I think it is there in my and some of the way we joke and things. I mean, it's interesting when we first started recording, it would take a solid 4 hours almost to do an episode, and by like season 2, both of us came a lot closer together. They started writing things, even probably before season 2, but they started writing things a lot more in my voice because they could hear my voice.
Mm-hmm.
They knew the kind of way I talked and stuff. And I would improvise stuff a lot more in the kind of stuff that made them laugh. We just we figured out how to work with each other more efficiently until, I mean, no, I'm guaranteed that we've probably recorded at least one episode in under an hour these days.
that type of
just because we're just
well,
and we're just we know each other so well. We're used to working with each other's stuff now. It's just a different. We just get better at it with each other.
that
You get
synergy and being able to develop that over time is just what you hope for. Like that's great. That's really great.
yeah.
Well, Shake doesn't do that all the time, but I mean, that definitely brings a lot to the table because there are a lot of times where he'll bust into a room or say a line where it's definitely delivered in that vibrato, shaky kind of,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it definitely makes the line 10 times better. So that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
One of these days, I'm about to go up into that attic and find those T-shirts. Don't worry. I did find something else I didn't know if you had. I have a stupid morning bullshit, some type of marijuana extractor of some type. I don't know what it is, like a grinder. I also have some kind of vinyl bag that's all from all the streaming shows. It's like a reusable grocery bag. That was just laying around.
Cool.
This was without. I haven't been able to get my big tub out with all my stuff in it because it's way up in my attic, and I have to clear space to pull the attic door down so the ladder can come down.
Well, I am beyond thankful and blessed for you to even do this. And part of me is a little upset that we couldn't get into collecting more, even though I'll have some questions for you. But hey, maybe if that opens up an opportunity to do another one down the line, hey, I'm cool with that too. Actually,
I'm ready for it.
Speaking of items, I want to show you something that's one of the oldest items I have here that I think you might actually know. Do you know, if I showed you this without showing you the label, do you know what this is?
No.
This is a jar of William Street Air from William Street.
Yeah, I remember those, I think. Where did you get that from?
From a huge collector, and anything with William Street these days is impossible to find. But then when he said, I actually have this, I was like, that screams obscurity of Adult Swim, and this is one of the first, and it's just so funny, and it's never been opened. He told me, I made sure not to open it. You have to make sure not to open it. And I was like, all right, I can agree to that. That's not bad.
Wow. Okay. Now, where did you get that? From the guy? Did you buy it from him?
Yeah. Actually, I met up. My collection goes from all over the place, from people who were connected with the show to random buyers, random sellers, this, that, or the other. But most recently, I teamed up with a huge Adult Swim collector, and I bought a giant lot off of him for probably 50 plus items of all Adult Swim and Aqua Teen. And since I got so many, he really helped me out, and we helped each other out. And he had a couple items in the lot that were very, very rare. One of them being this guy, which you usually don't see these days.
Wait a minute. What is that thing? Oh, yes, right.
He had one of these, a William Street tote bag, the Meatwad beanbag chair, which we've spoken about, this, and a few other things where I was just like, whoa, like, wow, I am really surprised you got that. And he's like, well, I've been after this stuff for a long, long time. Yeah. And he's happy to cut me a deal.
I think I have one of those USB.
He had one of these too.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen one of these in ages. And it came with the tag on it.
I think I have one of those. See, I have this tub that's got all this old, like stuff that they were going to make for Spencer's, but they never made. Like I have these pullover. I think I still have them, or I gave them to somebody. I had like ski masks that they made, a Shake one and a Meatwad and a Frylock one. But I think then they ended up not making them. I also have two different bags that they made that were like prototypes, but they ended up never making them. Like one is a nice, like a heavy canvas tote bag with leather handles. And then the inside, there's fabric that has one of the designs that they had done for pillows one year at one of the upfronts. And then the other one is just a blue canvas backpack, but the inside has all that artwork that they use. They made towels out of with all the animals.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like almost like kind of rainbowy background, and there was just all different kind of Adult Swimmy things. I found that thing, and then I've got all those aquatic gentleman stuff. They made those shot glasses, and
Mm-hmm.
I also have like every single Christmas card they've sent out.
So you got the spider one, and I've seen that one. I've seen a couple
Oh,
of them
yeah.
that they've sent out.
And that one weird that was like the circle that you had to turn it. It was like a wildlife guide or whatever, and then all the toolbox stuff. That was like their annoying Christmas gift for like 5 years in a row. It was like the Adult Swim toolbox, and then the next year they gave you an Adult Swim hammer, and then the next year was an Adult Swim pliers.
When you go through that, we'll have to reference it because I'm pretty sure I've got everything from that, but it would be interesting to see if you have like one or two elements that like I didn't.
There weren't many. Down. There was definitely there was only like 3 or 4 tools they ended up doing. I think they did like screwdrivers.
I've got
and they did a
hammer, crescent wrench, a level, and a pocket knife, and I'd have to bust it out, but I think that was all of them.
Yeah, I feel like they did. I feel like I got a pocket knife, but it was a long time ago. I don't know if I have a level. Could use a level. Oh, maybe I do have a level. It's wood, right?
Yeah, it is wood, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, Keith, how long are you going to be giving me everybody these tools? He goes, well, till the box is full. I'm like, I was going to wait 4 years to get a wrench. Like, it was like waiting for just give everybody a full toolkit then.
That's like the longest practical joke that they've probably pulled off. That's pretty good.
I mean, it's they're always doing it.
Very silly.
Like their air.
Well, it'll be cool to go through some of that stuff later on, no doubt about that. You know, some of the stuff you're talking about is common knowledge. Like if you look in the back of the Palisades toy kit, there's advertising for a Frylock toy that never came out. Now, there are a few big collectors who have tracked down the prototypes of the Palisade toys and the Def Clock toys and stuff like that. But if there are some stuff that you have that are like one-of-a-kind prototypes, I know fans would freak out just to see what else they were thinking about making because, as you know, they've got a ton of crap, you know?
I know I had those ski masks forever, and I feel like in the last year and a half, in an effort to clear out some of my workroom, which is just loaded with, because I used to take all of it as much as I could. Like, I mean, I probably got 5 packs of those Adult Swim socks that they made. Like, still with the label on and everything, that I got them, I just put them into a Rubbermaid tub and put them away.
There you go.
Like, I just, because I was like, ooh. But I'm like, what am I going to do with it? Nothing. Just sitting there, rotting away.
Well, the irony in that is that on the Ignog socks, it says, buy this now so you don't have to pay out of the ass later, which those socks go for a pretty penny these days.
The one thing I'm very upset I got rid of, I sold them on eBay. I got rid of my Moonanite sneakers. And I wish I had not done that. That's the one thing I wish I hadn't gotten rid of.
Well, I could probably help you track down another pair, but like I told you, my pair came from the man himself. I think I'll have to get buried in those. But those are pretty nice. Here, I got one for you, but I got to ask. With the movie premiere of Aqua Teen Hunger Force when it first came out, the motion picture, did you go to the screening of it, like the premiere of it? Yes. Okay.
We had something in New York we went to, and then there was like a party afterwards. They also had a screening in Atlanta at the Plaza Theater. That was sort of like, I think that was their kind of real premiere. They had like a green carpet rolled out, and I think George Lowe was there dressed as he was there dressed as Space Ghost, interviewing people on the green carpet.
Hi, boys. How are you? Nice to see you all. So we're live, are we? Oh, we are. Well, so I should have some sort of a formal introduction then, shouldn't I? Hi there, Internet TV friends. Lovely to have you here for the fabulous premiere of the Aqua Teen Hunger Force motion picture. It's, of course, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, movie film for theaters, and we're just pleased as peach pie to be here inside your little magical computer box tonight, barking a happy tune. We'll be on the red carpet all evening long, bringing you the luminaries who make these wonderful things happen before your very eyes every week on the fabulous Adult Swim franchise that's made everybody so damn much money. Hi, what's your name, little fella? Jake.
Yeah.
Jake, what did you do on the big Aqua Teen movie?
I'm about to watch it.
So, hey, oh, big fan. Well, here, come in. Without you guys, we'd all be living under the overpass. God bless the fans. What do you do?
Appreciate it. I go to school.
You want a contest or something to be here?
Oh, actually, I just have connections.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So I know you're looking for, are you all at Twitter? What the hell's happening here? Hey, look at this.
Hey, how are you? What's your name? Get over.
There's Dana. There we are. Hi, Dana.
Nice to meet you. A pleasure.
God, he just hit me right in the gut.
I want to know what you're most looking forward to in the, as I'm dubbing it, the Hollywood blockbuster. This should not be referred to as a film or a motion picture, only Hollywood blockbuster, even though we are in Atlanta.
Is there a question in there somewhere?
Atlanta blockbuster. Yes. What are you looking forward to in this film? Hey, over here.
We've lost hydraulics, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll lose your hydraulics. What are you most looking forward to in this film? Turn it back around, for God's sake.
It has a mind of its own.
It's called marketing, right here. Yeah, what are you most looking forward to in this film?
I've heard things about Mastodon being in it. I'm looking forward to that and just the entire film.
Okay. And what do you hope to walk away with more knowledge? What do you hope to walk away with? Who are you looking at? The camera's over here.
I know where the camera is.
All right.
What are you wearing? One of James Rosenquist's paper suits from the 60s? What the hell is the Matlock collection? Very nice. Okay, well, thank Dana. Thank you. Very nice to see you. Nice tie, by the way. How many fill-ups? All right, that's great. Wait a minute.
I mean, it was all pretty ridiculous.
Do you remember these?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, I got a bunch of those. I took a whole bunch of those.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool.
Took those not from just Atlanta, but I took a bunch when we did another one, like another kind of screening with the press, with the movie studio, not Adult Swim, but the people who did it in New York. Mm-hmm. And they had those, and they had a matching coaster, and they had matching matchbooks, but all in that sort of
the gold writing,
black gold. Yeah. God, I couldn't get enough of those. They're really hard to track down these days. Dave said he's got one in his storage, but he's like, dude, the rats have probably gotten to those by now. I don't think that's still alive, you know? That's what's like hard about one of those, like, you know what's in it, but like, and as a collector, you want to collect it with the thing, but also it's, you know, vaguely perishable. Like I have all the air fresheners, but most of them now are so disgusting. They're just like yellowed and, you know, they're just not, they don't hold up.
Luckily, most of the items weren't perishable or biodegradable, so some of them did last the test of time. Aqua Teen Hunger Force was originally rated TV PG, though that rating changed to a TV MA rather quickly. Aqua Teen Hunger Force is known for pushing the boundaries of what is allowed and not allowed on cable, but originally the show wasn't the vulgar powerhouse we've adored over the years. Now, I've personally read numerous things saying that the pilot may have been marketed for a younger audience. At the time this show was released, Adult Swim wasn't even like a thing yet. It was just kind of, you know, it was before branding and everything happened. It was just a small little idea. The rating of the episode, again, was TV PG, and the pilot episode is about crime fighters, which, for the record, is a total 180 from all the other episodes. The whole thing is completely different. So, I'm just curious, can you recall when this shift changed? Or, like, what was about that? Like, do you remember any of that at all? Is that just internet folklore, you think?
None. I have no clue. I mean, bearing in mind that there was a long, long time between
The pilot.
That pilot episode and the series actually ever starting. So it may have happened during that time. I don't know. But also before it really came out as Adult Swim, it was still just Cartoon Network at night. And they had to be real careful about, because then later too, they put those big warnings like what you're about to watch is not for kids. Make sure you're not, because people were leaving their kids in front of, I don't know what kid is watching TV till 11:30 at night, but whatever one was, they're getting complaints about stuff. And but I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't remember. I'm probably very wrong, but like I don't even. I mean, I was think of like the Dickisode or Hand Banana are vulgar, but most of the episodes are just like stupid. I mean, Bart Oates is not really like a vulgar episode, I guess, unless Carl's probably talking about masturbation, which he always is, but. I mean, I recognize that's vulgar. I don't know. I feel like it was so long and so slow. Whatever it was, it took its time. It didn't happen. It wasn't like, whoa, what the hell? All of a sudden we're swearing everything now. Like, okay, they slipped. I remember a big one was when they made them, do that, which they demonstrated with the nun blowing her head off and the rainbow coming out instead of
blood. Yeah.
The blood, yeah. They I remember that being a big thing that they did that because they kept getting stuff from the S&P, and it was like, okay, so we can say this, but we can't say this. You can show this, but you can't show, like, as long as blood doesn't come out, it's fine to blow someone's head up.
Well, this
like all that weird stuff, and Matt and Dave were sort of like just kind of like a fuck you to those guys. Because, they also do the thing where they give them 3 of them, knowing 2 of them they'll say no to that are worse, but they don't intend to keep in there, knowing that the 3rd one will make it in because it sounds so much better when compared to the other 2.
Yeah. Well, this is it's a good comparison. I mean, if that's your choices at the end, they're going to choose the least offensive one. But this is a good segue. On the 2nd episode of season 1 of this podcast, I had Thom Foolery on, who you may or may have not met in person before, but Thom is a really
I know him very well.
Really cool
Thom
guy.
is great.
Yeah.
He was at Adult Swim almost from the beginning.
Yeah, his episode, which I'll put a little link here for people to check out, his story of how he got a job at Adult Swim is super punk rock, and I loved hearing that story and was just like, dude, I am really glad to have met you and to hear that because that is something really cool. And I'm glad for him. The guy couldn't be a nicer guy. You know what I mean? But
yeah, he's great.
What
does he do now? What's he doing? The last time I heard from him, he was working at Nickelodeon for like somebody's assistant or something.
He just wrapped up work on Animaniacs. He's been working there for the past 3 years doing art.
Good for him.
So yeah, nice.
Great. I'll tell you what he should have done because I looked at it. I was like, I don't know why he's not working on this, but he loves that, and I love his style. His art is amazing, but he should have worked on that Cuphead show because he does all that like 20s style, like he draws characters, all that old pie-eye character stuff, like, and he's great at it. I mean, he draws stuff that looks like it's 80 years old. And you're like, no, I just drew this. They're like, wow, it's great.
Yeah, his style is definitely to be desired. But when I was speaking to him, he would tell me about little things that the art department would try to sneak in to get past standards and practices. Like they translated the Communist Manifesto into like musical notes or something. Like they just did all this weird stuff to try to get it through to see if they would catch it or not. So it became a challenge for them. Aqua Teen was constantly getting flagged by S&P and needed to get cleared before airing. Coincidentally, years later, HBO Max has censored a number of episodes of Aqua Teen while, when they put it up for streams. I was curious, while the show was in production, was there any point where their material faced heavy censorship from the network before airing? Before it even went to standards and practices, where they're just like, dude, you can't do this.
I mean, probably only the Boston episode. But I mean, S&P is the network. I mean, that's the thing of it. It's not like, you know, they're all kind of they're enemies, but I mean, they are still, you know, the Turner censors or whatever they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as more shows came on, more shows pushed stuff, but were less, I don't know, I think like Aqua Teen probably paved the way a little bit for them to, like, there's at a certain point they were just saying shit on the air, and you were never saying that before.
No, with Aqua Teen and Oral and just a few of those flagship shows definitely paved the way. I don't think that's an assumption by any means, Dana. That's no doubt about that.
I mean, I think of how much adult animation is on now, and I feel like it's being great due to Adult Swim being in existence and being successful. And then everybody else said, "Oh, I want to do that too."
Absolutely. You know, again, perfect segue. When people think of the name Adult Swim, they instantly think of a few iconic characters and people. It's become, I believe, the word synonymous. It's undeniable at this point in time. You personally have been a part of a huge list of Adult Swim shows, including Squidbillies, Aqua Teen, Super Jail, 12 Mounts, Your Pretty Face, C-Lab, blah, blah, blah. You know all this stuff. Adult Swim wasn't always Adult Swim, though. And I'm curious to know what your opinion on this is you've seen these ideas grow to insane lengths over the past 20 years. And after all this time, how does it feel to be thought of as one of the most known screen actors and one of the biggest characters that are associated with Adult Swim? I mean, because remember, when you got on board, it wasn't.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that statement, but
get out of here. I'm just kidding.
I mean, it certainly is known more than it was. That's for sure. But I don't know. It's very strange. It's all so gradual that it ever happened. It's hard to kind of think about it. You know what I mean? Because I go to my other real cartoons now, and it's still like, well, no, these are the big cartoons. This is the real stuff. Walking into these squillion-dollar buildings, and everybody's famous in it, and everything else. Like, we're just this weird little pocket of little weirdos. And when you go to Adult Swim now, like, it doesn't feel like. I mean, certainly they've redone but it still feels like very similar to what it was when it first started. I mean, the fact that there's bigger departments, but not that much bigger. And I mean, you know, there's still 15 people working there who've been working there since it started. I mean, it feels much bigger, and it also feels exactly the same. It's hard to describe it. What's weird now is meeting people who are like, I love your show. And I look at them like, that guy is fucking old. And then I realize that's because I'm fucking old. And it's been on a long time. Like we were saying the other day, like there are at least 2 different forms of media, at least 2, that our shows have been on, put out on, that are no longer playable in most American homes.
Yeah.
Like someone brought to the convention the other day for me to sign a VHS of Adult Swim. And it was like the VHS they made when they sent out to everybody when they were first starting. Like it had the pilot episode of like 5 or 6 different shows. So it had like a Space Ghost, and it had Aqua Teen and a C-Lab and a Harvey Birdman and maybe a Brack show or something.
Home Movies or something like that.
Home Movies was on it, yeah. I took a picture of it. I'll tell you what's on it.
You know, this might be me just not wanting to accept that we're both, you know, getting into our later years, but Adult Swim still very heavily uses these images as well as images from other shows that have gotten the can for years and years past their shelf life. So even though, Cartoon Network and Adult Swim may have some different current shows or heavy hitters, I have seen that tape before online.
Yeah.
That is old school. But even though, you know, they have heavy hitters, Aqua Teen has been a gigantic face. And it's just got to be, I mean, I can completely understand you not having a response to it because it's surreal. How could somebody imagine I'm reading lines for a fucking milkshake and then 20 years later it transpire into this? It's got to be unreal, man.
Yeah, I mean, and I never. The question I always ask and I can never answer is, if I wasn't involved with it, I know I would probably know what it is, but I don't know that I ever watch any of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would have watched any Adult Swim, but instead I feel like I have like a very strong knowledge of it all and all the ins and outs and nuances of it and which shows are which and who's, because I've been a part of it a little bit. Would I have watched Aqua Teen Hunger Force? Like, I think it's funny when I watch it. I like watching it, but also I'm like, I don't know if I'd watch it.
What about?
I don't know if it would have grabbed me.
No, understandable. Yeah, it's for a totally different audience. It's definitely a stoner comedy to its own, in a respectful way. But with that being said, like, what about a show like Moral Oral, where it's literally taking place, based off David and Goliath? Even the music that Mark Rivers did was very 1940s, like doo-wop and stuff.
No,
like that.
I loved that one. I think the thing I never liked about Aqua Teen is I never liked the look of it. No offense to everyone who worked on it. I like my cartoons as cartoony as they get.
Yeah,
and these have a level of like realism to it that's like.
Yeah, Aqua Teen's about the furthest away from that. You know what I'm saying? It's bordering.
Yes,
on
it's like
2D
even though they're
South Park.
Frylock and Meatwad and Shake, but like basically they're like drawn as realistically as one if that was a real thing. I mean, like their house looks real. It's very like sort of realistic looking. Even like Carl. Like Carl doesn't look like Fred Flintstone. He looks sort of more like, a weird
Dude
trying to look real, going for more realism. Yeah, yeah.
Well, they got it down. I mean, even down to the hair on the shoulders,
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a favorite Shake line or scene?
No.
When you think of Master Shake, what's like the first thing? Is there a line that comes to your head or something that comes to your head?
I mean, I think probably what comes to my head is that thing we were singing earlier from Hypnogerm, that mind control when he's like on that little stage doing his little comedy routine.
Mind control! You gotta have mind control if you wanna take control of your mind. Hey, thank you. You, sir, you got a nice young lady with you. What's your name?
Phil Cabinet.
You precious little thing. Where you from, Phil?
We're from Kill Yourself.
I don't know if I've watched all the episodes. Like, I always like Carl the most, and then I like Shake, and then the rest. But, like, I don't know that I ever think of... I just think of him screaming, but, like, I don't really have a thing in my head of Shake is... like one line or something that, I mean, I guess I think of, I'm the one who wants some jeans.
I want some jeans. I'm the one who wants some jeans.
I think like that first one, which is, arguably the worst one, but because they're sort of so different from anything else. But I really don't, I don't remember much of, I just spent all weekend. People tell me, "Oh, I remember this scene with this." I'm like, no, I have very little recollection of that.
That's good though.
Because also, whatever we did 3 hours worth of, then they only took 5 minutes worth of eventually. Mm-hmm. I remember some of the stuff we do in the booth more than what they ended up using. But that goes with my lack of attention. I mean, the fact that these guys that do these cartoons, like Dave and Madden, I mean, the fact that they watch that episode, 70 times before it comes out, mm-hmm. I'd throw myself out the window. I'd be like, yeah. I can't watch it again. I mean, I felt that way when we were doing stuff with the movie. I think I had to watch it 5 times. I'd watch the opening. I'm like, all right, now get me the fuck out of here. I'm done. I can't watch another one. It's like, I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day. Like I'm just repeating something over and over. Yeah. Like it was fun to see what the audience would react to. But like Dave and I would immediately just like, let's go out to the popcorn stand because I can't sit through this again.
the mental fatigue that comes with it is unreal. But it's a testament to Dave being able to do so many shows over time that he's able to work through that. That's good stuff.
Well, he's very good at what he does. He's very good. He's also, I would say, easily. Oh, who asked you? He's also like one of the best voice directors ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I realize now, I think that's a large portion of what's successful about that show is Dave is able to get out of everybody what, granted, he's half of it. It's really just Carey and I and then him, but he's able to do that all while he's directing it because he knows the script so well, and he's very good.
Absolutely. The guy is something else, that's for sure. When you got the call regarding the new Aqua Teen movie and the Aqua Donk side pieces, what was your first thought? And how did it feel compared to when you first heard that Aqua Teen was getting a film? Because at that time, I mean, it's much different.
Much different from now. Equally as exciting. The first time was very confusing because Vishal was not, whether because he knew or he didn't know, I don't know, but he couldn't quite tell me what we were doing. He was like, is it a movie? He was like, yes. I said, okay, so it's in the movie theater. So then I want to get money like it's going to be there. Well, we don't know if it's going to be in the movie theater. I'm like, well, how can you make something and not know what you're making it for? So there was like all this confusion about it, which of course then directly cut into what they were, not to talk about money all the time. I'm not, but you have a multi-million-dollar corporation who's trying to take an extra, $500 less from us because they can. But like it was confusing because they didn't know. I mean, it was refreshing to hear they're doing one now because they're like, ooh, and Dave and Matt were very excited about it. And he kind of told me before they announced anything, he's like, but it's going to be great because we're going to get to do everything we wanted to do. That they sort of, I think of the first one as a little bit of a failure, that they didn't get to do a lot of the stuff they wanted to because they didn't have time to do it because they were in the middle of a season of shows. Mm-hmm. So then on top of it, they had to write a movie. And, I guess they didn't really get the time to refine it like they wanted and really make it what they wanted it to be. So Dave and Matt both have a couple times said, we are really doing this. This is the movie we wanted to make before. This is like our apology movie that we make up for. And there are some truly spectacular parts of it.
I don't think they need to apologize, but the time restraints that they were working with was pretty crazy, and to see them pull that off was definitely something really cool. But to know that they have the time, the support, some of the same, if not all of the same, crew. Great.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
It's going to be great. I can't wait to see it.
Do you own the Meatwad Hot Air Balloon?
Oh, I should. It's probably the only thing I don't have.
Is that what you take on the weekends? Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. I should have taken that home from Richmond. I would have got home quicker.
Yeah, by now, yeah. Mm-hmm. It would also make for a nice background if you could get signal while up there. What else do you collect? And what are some oddities in your collection that maybe people don't know about? I know you do collecting because you're related to the show, but there are some other stuff you're into as well.
Yep. I mean, the main thing I collect is I collect a lot of ephemera. I collect a lot of menus from places, both old famous restaurants and places I go to now. But the majority of my collection is taken up with stuff from Disneyland and Disney World and all the Disney theme parks. I mean, like I have every popcorn box they ever had at Disneyland.
Damn.
I have every paper cup, every drink cup from 1955 to now. Anytime there was a design, I have all the guidebooks, like the maps you get when you go in. I have all the major ones. Then like it kind of threw it off because in the early 90s, they started doing one like every week. It used to be they'd have one for a season and you'd have a times guide, but then they switched it. So I have gaps, but all the earlier ones, like probably 90 or 89, previously, I have at least one sort of model of those.
When you get back home, I got to bug you to take a picture of that because that sounds really cool. And I could only imagine how that like if you have everything displayed, that would be really cool to see, man. That's really cool.
It would be. I probably should have it displayed, but I do not. I have all of them in check boxes with my date. You know, oh, here's the 70s ones. Here's the 80s one. It's everywhere. It's getting out of control. That's why I can't get your tub down. Because that's too much stuff on the floor, and now I've got skeins of yarn everywhere from making rugs.
You know, if my little silly pursuits have transpired into all of this and I have to wait for you to get that tub down, trust me, it is well worth the wait, my friend. Not a problem.
You'll be waiting, but you'll get it eventually. I promise.
Is there any, and I know you say you don't watch them all the time, but is there any shows other than the ones you've been on Adult Swim that were canceled that you were like, oh man, like that you actually did enjoy? Or again, you didn't watch it that much to get that connected?
Well, I mean, no, I liked Xavier, Renegade Angel.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on Super Jail, but that was, I was like barely on it. I liked that show a lot. And I like Mr. Pickles. I don't think Mr. Pickles is going anymore, but
no.
I liked Mr. Pickles a lot, and I liked Super Jail, and I liked Xavier. I think I liked Fat Guy Stuck in the Internet. Like I remember liking it at the time, but I think I have to rewatch it. Not because I think I won't like it, but I did like it. But then there was getting to be all this live action stuff that was sort of all of it started getting a little out of control.
Yeah.
And seemed more celebrity based rather than quality based.
Yeah.
Just sort of like, I'm going to show you Adult Swim little guys how to really do Adult Swim. I'm like, yeah, this is like just. Like, I feel like they would get it because they were celebrities, but not because they actually had a good or funny show.
Gotcha. Okay, last question, and this comes from a fan who says, what was it like to work with Adam on Minoriteam and Code Monkeys, as well as playing Todd and Benny in Code Monkeys?
Oh, Minoriteam. Yeah, that was a good show. Well, it wasn't a good show. It was a bad show, but it was a bad show. The thing with that was like every time we would record it, Adam would direct it, and he would explain to me what was going on as I did each one of my lines. And I'd like, oh, that's funny. And then I'd watch the actual show, and it was like doing a puzzle that every third piece was missing. I was like, when he described this to me, this episode made total sense. But then I'd watch it, and we're like, this doesn't make... There's like gaps of logic that are missing that I think like was just probably in his mind. He was not writing what in his mind was telling the story. So the episodes were sort of jarring because it'd be like, wait a minute, I don't understand what's happening now. But I mean, Todd James did artwork for that. And I met him doing Minoriteam, Todd James, who's a very big, famous graffiti artist. But he loves the Aqua Teen Hunger Force. And when I met him, we started talking and stuff. And I was like, I should talk to Dave. So I kind of like dropped a little seed in there. And that's why he got to do the opening credits of the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie.
Badass.
Like with the train coming and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did all that. He animated that. He designed and animated that stuff. Just that opening title, but they're totally in his style and stuff. But wait a minute, what was your question? Oh, Minoriteam, yeah. I mean, Adam's crazy. But he's great. I don't know what he's doing now. Every once in a while, I get like a mysterious text or call from him, but he never gives me any information as to why he's calling or leaves a message. Like some weird secret, like... And Andy Sipes also worked on Minoriteam. And we did a couple things together since all them. But yeah, I don't know what he's doing anymore.
How was working
Adam
with
opinion.
How was working on Code Monkeys?
I mean, it's the same thing. When the thing is, when you do the voiceovers, you have such a limited exposure to it. I mean, I went into a room once an hour, once a month, and was in there, recorded, and then left. I mean, I remember one day seeing a Prius pull up in the back, and a guy and a lady getting out, and then opening their trunk, and then taking out of the trunk those Segways. You know what I'm talking about? Those
yeah.
2 Segways to take them from the car into the building. They ran right into the building, drove them into the building, so they didn't have to walk. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, look at these idiots. And then we get up to the Code Monkey office, and the 2 people on the Segways were in there, and it was Steve Wozniak and his assistant. Of course it's Steve Wozniak. Of course it's Steve Wozniak. He would take a Segway out of his Prius to drive because they were in there to do a voice or something, but that was the only thing. And I remember, I think Adam made everybody line up outside his office and handed the checks out when it was payday to everyone, it was some type of military operation. It's my only memories of.
That's pretty funny if that's all that you remember for your time on there. That's very funny.
Well, I mean, again, if there were 12 episodes, I probably spent 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I never, it's not like I ever hung out there, or also they never had any kind of let's have a premiere or anything. It was just sort of hey, come and do this, and then we'll see you. You can watch it when it comes out. But I still do meet a lot of people who who liked Code Monkeys a lot.
It seemed to be a huge hit when it came out. A lot of people really dug it.
There was talk for a while, I feel when it first ended, which I can't remember why it ended, but that it was going to move over to be episodes just on Xbox, streaming episodes on there. But I guess that never happened because I never did it. And then he did some other one. He would always get involved with weird projects. I think he did some kind of I think I was in it, some kind of animated thing, but it was for Sprite or something, but online episodes, but sponsored by Sprite or can't remember what it was. Something
interesting.
Something, yeah.
Well, Dana, I've taken up too much of your time today, and I just want to say thank you for being more than awesome and being my special last guest host or guest interview on the Tell Me Something Great podcast. Is there any way that I can convince you to say this and whatever else you want in your Master Shake voice that I just sent you in the chat to give us a friendly little sign off here? I was going to ask you to rap with me, but I won't make you do that because you hate it.
Oh, yeah, thank God. I'll do anything but rap. Oh, yeah, I will say, thanks, everyone, for tuning in to the first season of the Tell Me Something Great podcast. Here's something great. Rule your face. Put that in your pipe and suck on it. That seems as great as it's going to get.
Amazing. I will send you a check in the mail. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for
absolutely
for everything, dude.
Don't stop bothering me until I get that stuff for you.
I definitely won't. Again, man, I owe you big time. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, Justin. I appreciate it.
Adios, man.
Okay.
See ya.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
That's great.